UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Brandon Shea-Butella, and joining me, as always, are my ever-constant co-hosts, Chrissie and Justin. Chrissie, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I just had an apple for the first time. I didn't realize that I didn't know what apples tasted like, but, you know, it is fantastic when it's real.
Yes, real apples are definitely wonderful. Much healthier, I think, than what we have on the space station here.
Probably.
So, Justin, how are you doing today?
Greetings. I'm at your service, Captain. How are you? How may I help you retake the ship?
Excellent. Are you Dot? Are you the Sphere Data?
Yes, we are.
Oh, excellent. Live long and prosper. Give me the
Yes, I only have 3 digits, but I'll try and give it to you. But no, it's great to be here.
Yes, well, we're very excited here to have our very special guest, Kevin Dilmore, joining us again, who we had join us for the first and last episodes of the first season of Star Trek Lower Decks. And we've got you on for the, what do they call this, the penultimate episode of Season 3 of Discovery?
I'd call it penultimate, sure.
Penultimate? That means second last, I think, right?
Yeah, last I checked. If ultimate, then penultimate. Like dragon and Pendragon. If a Pendragon shows up, then you know another dragon's coming along next.
We are thrilled to have you back to discuss this. We're looking forward to this. I'm sitting here in Vance's room. I'm just waiting for him, and Eli's helping me out here. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Excellent. Eli was just getting me a coffee here, so I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee here just a second. Eli, this coffee tastes like shit. That's because it is shit, Brandon. It's a bit nutty.
That's
okay,
beautiful.
that joke did not hit.
No, I was just. I love it. I thought of that as well when we were watching it. Beautiful.
But it's sad though because that means that the Weyland Yutani technology has outpaced the Federation. Because if you remember in Alien, coffee is the only thing that didn't taste like shit on that ship.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I do remember that. Yeah, Yaphet Kotto said that. So, well, I just want to say that I was laughing my ass off in the shower when I came up with that joke. So,
when I laugh at the shower, it's a much different situation.
Awesome. Let's jump into our normal discussion here. But first, we got a little bit of news, and the news today is about the Voyager documentary. So we've got a Voyager documentary coming in the same format that we had the DS9 documentary, which was called What You Leave Behind. So they're going to be doing a crowdfunding campaign, and some information was recently released, as well as having a Twitter handle at Voy Documentary on Twitter. But if you take a look at the the Trek movie article, it talks about some of the perks and stuff that are going to be coming for this documentary, which when everything gets up and loaded in a couple of months, I am definitely going to be participating in. I participated in the DS9 crowdfunding campaign, and what I participated was I got enough so that I could get the Blu-ray and the music score as a file. And so that's what I participated in, and that's probably about the level that I'll join in this time. It wasn't, I think it was like $25 or $30 that I pitched in last time. But I know that last time they had, you could meet and greet the stars and have dinner with them. I think they had like a dinner with Nana Visitor for the last one or something like that. But
yes,
some really crazy ones.
I knew a couple people that did that, and that was a crazy benefit.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. So, Kevin, you into this? You going to join in?
Oh, sure. I'm very eager to see it. I think that that Voyager is a show that we are learning is enduring way more than some of us might have given it credit for during the time of its production. It's resonating with new fans of Star Trek, and I love the idea that they're going to get a chance to learn more about what it was like in production.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just hope that they get an interview with Geneviève Bujold.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know has she even talked about it much.
I don't know. I haven't seen
I don't
much
think
of her.
much.
Yeah.
I don't think much. Well, and for people who are listening who may not know, that was the original Janeway, and when it was Nicole Janeway, and that didn't work out after a few days on the set. So that would be very interesting. Yeah, I participated in helping to fund the DS9 documentary, and I've really enjoyed doing that. I'll probably do the same for the Voyager documentary. I'm excited about this because Voyager holds a special place for me. It was the first Star Trek TV show that I saw because I caught a season of it in high school. But I've liked it more every time that I rewatch it, and I'm doing a rewatch right now, along with trying to fill in all the gaps for all the novels that were released during the series that I didn't read, and that's been a lot of fun. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that, and my appreciation of Voyager, I think, increases every year, really.
Mm-hmm. Chrissy, you gonna join in?
Yeah, I found out about the DS9 documentary too late to contribute. So I'm definitely going to come into this time. It was either too late or that was the semester I didn't have many classes and money. So it was one of those two things.
Oh.
Have you seen the DS9 documentary?
Oh, gods, yes. Jay and I made a point of going to the one-night movie release that we actually saw.
Yeah,
in the
that's how
theater
I saw it too. Yeah,
with like 6 other people, but it was so cool.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I've got it on Blu-ray, but I just haven't had a chance to watch it on Blu-ray yet. So I've just seen it the once. But yeah, that HD footage is pretty stunning, and I really hope that they do that for Voyager as well.
It's
That'd
gorgeous.
be pretty amazing.
And anything we can do to get this stuff fixed up and on Blu-rays, anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on let's get away from that boring old Voyager stuff and talk about this awesome new episode of Discovery. So today we're talking about There Is a Tide, which is the second last episode of season 3, and I guess it's kind of a part 2 of 3 for this 3-part finale. Kevin, how are you enjoying season 3 so far, and what were your initial thoughts on this episode?
I'm having a great time with this season. I actually stalled a little bit. I did not wasn't watching it week to week at probably past the first the season opener, and I let 5 or 6 episodes kind of build up and then took a run at them over the course of a couple of days and really enjoyed that and have been hitting it pretty much week to week ever since. I was delayed today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for stalling the start of the podcast because I just finished it moments before I logged in.
Oh, good.
But I'm having a good time. It's taking me away from what the pandemic as we stretch into 2021 is leaving me to think about or worry about. I mean, it's been very entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And this episode in particular, what'd you think?
I was happy with it. Now, so I guess we can talk with the idea that everyone who's going to be listening to the podcast has already seen the episode. That
spoil away, buddy. Spoil away.
So is the sphere data our friend now?
Well, I think it always was.
Not? I think it has been for quite a while.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, maybe I thought of it more as like this kind of true neutral type of alignment if we're going to jump into D&D stuff. And I didn't really necessarily think that that they were like, waiting to help with, the droids.
But they helped us. They're willing to help in the form of Zora, really, to help Saru earlier in the season when he was having trouble dealing with
I guess
the
that's
crew,
true.
So.
I guess that's fair. So, but no, I'm looking forward to the way they're going to resolve things. To be perfectly honest, I'd be very happy if they stayed in this time frame and looked at what kind of either rebuilding the Federation or just what this future has to offer. I hope they don't undo that necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as we know, they're staying in this time period.
I think it's likely that they'll stay in this time period and not reset anything.
So yeah, I've been very happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Chrissy, what are your thoughts?
This was great. it turned some things on their heads. The revelation that Osira and the Emerald Chain are not just some kind of non-state actors who are working for their own benefit, and they're actually an organized, functional nation state with a Congress and ministers and amendments to be made to documents. And this is, I am very eager to see where this is going to go, because that is not, I think, what anybody expected of Osira.
Yeah, very interesting twist.
Yeah.
Justin, how about you?
Well, I absolutely love this episode. And before I give a few more details on that for my initial impressions, I just want to acknowledge here, which I think a lot of people know, this is the 800th production of Star Trek, including episodes and movies, which is an incredible, incredible accomplishment. So much great Star Trek out there. And I think in this era when we're getting a lot of new Star Trek, it may not be too many years before we get to 900 or 1,000, but I just wanted to acknowledge that it's incredible. There's 800 different distinct productions of Star Trek. So on this particular episode, I really loved it. Like you were saying, Chrissy, that was totally unexpected that Osira would be like a minister and say, hey, here's an armistice, and really be telling the truth that she wanted peace. I mean, I think we'll break down the scenes a little later, but those scenes between Osira and Vance were Star Trek at its best, I think, where people are kind of trading ideas and diplomatic exchanges and talking through things, because I totally expected, even based on the preview last week, that Osira would go in guns blazing and, want to take over the headquarters immediately. So that she was doing this thing, I thought, oh, it's got to be a ploy, but it seemed like in the end she was sincere in wanting to do something, but as we'll talk about, couldn't quite get there. So I'm very, very interested to see where that goes. And I think, I like that they focused on what was going on at Federation headquarters and leave the stuff in the nebula to next week, because that kind of focus, you got to go really deep into it and to really do one of the things that I've loved in this season, and one of the things that I really loved, especially in the early seasons of Deep Space Nine, which is looking at kind of the political stage and the status of where things are and how they're working. I'm just always fascinated by that. So I just kind of love that aspect of this, and of course seeing the bridge crew trying to retake the ship was really great. So I think there was a lot of great stuff. This might be one of my favorite episodes of the season.
When we were watching that conversation, in my mind, kind of harkened back to the days of watching Garak and Bashir talk, where he was trying really hard to scrutinize, he being the doctor, trying to scrutinize Garak's true motivations and listen to the nuances of the things that he said. And I thought that was really cool. And as I looked forward to the idea of do you two factions that each one knows they'd be better off with an attempt at least to unify, and but what would it mean if you don't necessarily trust your business partner? It sets up something that I think would be intriguing to watch unfold.
Yeah. Right on. Well, my initial impressions on this episode, I freaking loved this thing. Like, right from the get-go, first watch of this, I only rolled my eyes once, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And every time I watched it, the scenes between Stamets and Aurelio and Vance and Osira completely captivated me every single time I watched it. And as I've said numerous times, one of the things that I love about The Walking Dead is that they will drop characters for an episode and focus on one element of the story. And they did that here. They focused on a major element of the story, and they left us wanting for what's going on in the nebula. And I absolutely loved that. And so, I know people know me, that I'm not one of those recency factor people. I significantly think that this is my favorite episode of Discovery ever. Like, I loved this episode. It was firing on all cylinders. And as you pointed out, Justin, you said that's in our message group. You're like, that's is amazing, because I don't think you've ever liked the last two episodes of a season since the new Star Trek started. And I said, absolutely not.
At least live action.
Yeah. I absolutely not. I have despised the last two episodes of every season so far that we've gotten. So this is a wonderful change. I loved this episode. This is absolutely fantastic. let's jump into our discussion here first. So let's talk a little bit about Oser getting into the Federation headquarters. And I tweeted out earlier that I wanted to point out, and some people didn't catch this, right? But I'm thrilled that, you know, we've got an Orion woman walking around the ship, and our male crew aren't like stumbling around, tripping over their own boners for the whole episode. You know, like,
Yes.
I really enjoyed this. I think that is a stupid aspect of the Orions, and I have zero problems with them not addressing this. Pick whatever headcanon you want. You know, pheromones aren't working, or they got some kind of spray in the air all the time. I don't care. Just get rid of it. It's gone, and I'm very, very happy about that. So
I think it's a far future extension of the coronavirus, where everyone has just lost that part of their sense of smell.
So we got herd immunity from coronavirus, and that was one of the benefits.
It's just a fan theory.
But it's really interesting you point that out, Brendan, because like I've enjoyed the Oser character as someone who like has power, like legitimately be like the way that anyone in Star Trek might have power based on, you know, fear or like whatever that they have to get their power. It has nothing to do with, you know, the desire or attraction, which we've seen so much for the Orions before. And whatever reason that that doesn't exist, I love that too, because that just it like distracts from the power of the character. Because even if you look at, for example, I forget which episode it is, the animated series episode where they're like in this pocket of space and you have all these people on the council.
Time Trap. Yeah.
Time Trap. Thank you. So
even a sequel to that one.
Yes.
How would I know
yes,
that?
that's right. Yeah. So like even an episode like that where you have an Orion woman who's on the council and who, you know, has some power, she has to be scantily clad in this animated series for kids. So like, but I think it's great. Like she's just like anybody else, and that's wonderful. And it tells you a little bit more about Orion society as well, as we'll talk about. Like they have all these institutions and all this other stuff for the chain and whatever allies they have.
But is that the Orion, or is that like just an extension of the chain and what's developed out of the chain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting. That's coming along here.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about this getting into Federation headquarters. I was a little bit when this happened, and one of the things I was watching it the first time, I'm like, it takes Vance like quite a significant amount of time to realize that something's kind of wrong here. But not only that, like, even after rewatching this episode multiple times, I don't understand Oser's motivation to get into here, because she just gets in there, sits down, and hails them and talks to them. Like, what's the purpose of her with the subterfuge of getting into the Starfleet bubble that they've got there? She just sits there and then says, "Hi, how's it going? I want to talk."
Well, I can tell you what I thought about it. I mean, what I thought was, like, she felt this was the best way to actually get to sit down in a room. Because if you're just out there and, I don't know, making threats or whatever, they wouldn't have had this serious conversation. But if it's like, okay, I'm going to use my methods to get in, but then from there, I'm going to surprise you and say, let's talk. I think Vance has no choice but to say, like, okay, let's talk, instead of like having a threatening posture on the outside or whatever. I think she felt this was her way to get in, to be able to actually have a real conversation in a room, and that it wouldn't happen otherwise.
But why need the Discovery to do that? Why go through what happened last time with taking over the ship completely and using that to get inside the bubble? Why not just pull up with the Viridian and say hi?
I think she needed to get there really quickly and as an element of surprise. Whereas if you're rolling up with the Viridian, like, it might take a while. There might be like a whole fleet waiting for you. She wanted to do it in such a way that it would be easiest to not have the resistance to just go in there, because she just appears out of nowhere very quickly. Mm-hmm. That's the way I felt about it.
Well, and one thing that maybe this is a connector, when she's getting ready to interrogate the two prisoners on the bridge, and you're going to forgive me because I'm going to lose some of these names, Book and
Rin.
Thank you. And she's excusing the scientist who's got the name out of Bread and Circuses. I can't remember his name.
Aurelio.
Thank you. And because she knows things are going to get violent. She's like, hey, look, one of the things I've learned is that sometimes to make stuff happen, you got to crack a few heads. Mm-hmm. And maybe she went in there with Discovery fully intending to crack a few heads if they refused her, her initial advances. I mean, she went in expecting that they were going to put the president of the Federation in front of her, and which didn't pan out. But she still held it together and said, okay, well, if this is what it takes, then this is what it takes. But I think if they would have said, we're not negotiating with terrorists or whatever their response might have been, then she was in a better position to crack heads.
Chrissie, what do you think about that?
I initially thought she grabbed Discovery as, for lack of a better term, an insurance policy. Because if they weren't going to listen to her or if they weren't going to talk to her, then she still had the technology that she wanted, and she could beam everybody off the ship and just leave. But that was when I was still thinking of her as this kind of non-state pirate person. It doesn't really work if they actually do want to have negotiations and some kind of détente. So I'm not sure. Other than I think if she had rolled up in the Viridian, they wouldn't have talked to her. Vance does not strike me as somebody who's like, he wouldn't have ignored her, but they would have fired first, I think. And that just doesn't work. Like the one other major peace talks that we've seen, which is Undiscovered Country. If you imagine that had started with Gorkon's ship just showing up next to Earth, that would be taken as a threat, not an overture of peace. So
okay, so the order that we have our discussion here, I think we're going to go out of order here, because I think that this adds to this, because the thing with the Klingons that you're talking about is that, like, that was they didn't really want peace, and it took a lot of effort to get to peace. Now, the interesting thing about this episode here, and what's captivating me so much, is that I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I had no doubt the whole time, that Osira is lying. She's got subterfuge. There's something more going on here. This is a distraction. I mean, Vance said it himself. This is a distraction. You're wasting my time. What's going on? And she's like, fine. And as soon as he says that, he pulls out this thing for him to read. I don't know if we're going to get something whipped out of left field next episode, but she's delaying them for something. So she's in there for some reason.
Well, it was okay. So here's one way to think about it. One way to think about it is, and I don't know if this comes from some other thinker or something like that, but peace tends to happen when the price of war becomes too high. So the way that I look at this whole situation is, the Emerald Chain has, all of these, mercantiles and business and all of that, and they have sway over all of these planets, but they're running out of dilithium. They can see a time in the near future where that could all potentially collapse, right? And in the meantime, at least I'm maybe assuming, they've had kind of this low-level war with the Federation, which has affected things to an extent, right? So at this point, the way that I feel about it is that Osira comes there with two possibilities. First possibility is, let's make peace because the price of this whole, war, whatever we're doing, has become too high. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to go to the next option, which is maybe a bit more costly, which is get into some open hostilities here or just ditch the whole thing. But I think, based on what we see in the episode, she is absolutely sincere about preferring and wanting peace, which I think is a really fascinating thing. Because when I was watching this episode the first time, I was like, did she mess with Eli, this hologram? Is she really lying? But I think because at a certain point Eli calls her out, that is not the truth, that someone else wouldn't be a proxy for you, which comes as a surprise. I think up to that point she is telling the truth. She does want peace. She has negotiated this with her Congress and is willing to make all of these concessions, because without doing that, they could lose it all. But it comes up against the one thing where the price for her personally is too high. Vance is saying, the real leader and face of the chain needs to prosecute you for your crimes. At that point, the price becomes too high, and she's like, forget it. I had hoped we wouldn't get to that point where the price, and now the price is too high, and I'm moving on to my next option. So that's kind of the framework that I'm seeing this whole thing in.
Okay, I got some thoughts on that, but let's jump to Kevin here.
No, go ahead. Justin did exactly what I was thinking was that, I mean, it's almost like watching some of the stuff, spilling out of Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. So, Kevin, you think she's telling the truth then? You think that she wanted peace? Do you think that was her end game there?
I'm still not sure. I can tell you that storytelling-wise, I love the idea that she is telling the truth. I would like to see, what would happen in the next season if everybody survives this and starts to work together. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't think she had anything, up her sleeve to thwart that truth-telling program. So I don't know. I'm just hoping for it.
Chrissie, do you think she was telling the truth?
Yeah, I think she is for the most part. Although the first time I watched it, I did think she was completely lying. But on the second watch, I was, no, I think she is being honest. And part of the reason that I think that is because when she's talking about the governmental entities that are part of the chain, Vance is not surprised by this. So we've all been let in on a piece of information that everybody else had. And to go to Justin's point, the whole thing about peace being the option when war is too expensive, this is akin to what happened with the USSR and the United States, or the NATO countries, which again brings me back to Undiscovered Country and Gorkin being an allegory for Gorbachev, and perhaps Osira is someone along those lines as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, my thought process on this is, like, when I was originally watching this episode, I thought that Eli being in the scene was a silly thing to add to it. It's like this thing that's added to the scene to be like, oh, we got to believe this character for what she's saying, right? And I know that we've seen Eli before, and if you go back earlier, Eli was in the room when they were interrogating the other crew at the beginning, and now we know why Eli was there and what was going on. But in this one here, it seemed like a silly trope to be like, okay, we got to convince the audience that this person's telling the truth. Now, as the conversation's going on, as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is completely captivating because I'm Vance and I'm like, what is her endgame? What is going on? And I forget about Eli, so that when Eli finally says that's a lie, I'm like, damn, okay, there is definitely something more going on here. So she's got some way to control her emotions, but because she's getting so close, she's getting excited or something like that, and that's what Eli sensed. And I'm like, now I'm even more convinced she's lying because of some just one second here, because of some of the other things that she brought up, like with this, when she specifically calls out Deep Space 253. Right? To call out something specific where some type of transaction is going on right now, that is a distraction thing. She's now distracted Vance to look at D Space 253. So her end game is really D Space 235 or something like that, right? Like, it's just like, it's something along those lines, but she's distracted his attention over here. She's like a magician. Look over here while my hand over here does the trick that I need done. And with, she thought that she had such a good enough thing, a good enough plan that Vance would just come in and say, we don't want the war. So when Vance brings up you're going to put you on trial, she's completely caught off guard by that.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it. And I mean, that could be correct. But the way that I saw it was she is telling the truth up to that point, and then she's not because for that one part about being a proxy, because I think you can tell the truth and say, I want peace, I want us to unite, I want something that ends this war, while hiding that it's going to be whoever is in power is really a proxy for her, so that when that question comes up, she's like, that's going to be a deal breaker, I'll try to get my way through it. And she's not a good enough liar to get her way through it, I think. Anyway.
Well, I hope it's a reflection on the story that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm good with it either way. I'm very happy with the story they're telling, and whichever way it shakes out
I agree,
at the end of the season, I'll be fine with it.
But I think it's fascinating that they've been able to do it well enough in this episode that I think you can convincingly argue it either way.
Yeah, I think so.
Very interesting.
I love that.
And credit to to Janet Kidder as well for the performance. So I did not know this. You guys have probably already looked this up, but she's Margaret Kidder's niece.
Oh, neat! I did not look that up. Really,
I didn't know that.
Nice. Margaret Kidder was in Superman. She was Lois.
Lois Lane.
Yeah. I have her autograph. I got her. She came to Regina. I got her to autograph my DVD copy of the Criterion edition of Sisters.
That's cool. Awesome. I liked Sisters a lot. That's a good show.
Excellent. This sequence here was hands down my favorite part of the episode, and I was just completely captivated every time I was watching this, which is such a pleasant surprise because both Justin and I were really let down when we were introduced to Osira in the Sanctuary. We were just underwhelmed with her, and she's really been growing as a character, and this is some awesome storytelling stuff that's going on.
And here's the interesting thing, Brandon. Like when this episode happened, and you see this different side of Osira, and I go back and think about when we were introduced to Osira, we were underwhelmed. Like, this is a kind of a weak villain. Like, what is going on with this? It almost made me feel like that could be an intentional choice, and that in some way she's not as into it anymore, right? And comes across with that kind of like weakness, and that there's actually kind of some more drive and passion for trying to end all of that and get on with business in this episode. So it actually, thinking back to it, it kind of like, okay, maybe that could work. Maybe her heart wasn't really as much into that part of it when we saw her there. Just a thought.
Maybe.
But yeah, I love the exchanges. Like the Osira Vance exchanges, to me, are some of the best written things that I've seen in Star Trek. It harkened back for me to some of the best kind of exchanges that you have in Deep Space Nine, when you have a character like Garak and you're like, what is going on here? I don't know what to think, and it's great. You know? Yeah, you got it. So, yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to say on this topic?
I think it's important that there is this issue of the recognition of commerce. And the idea that she is representing this, for lack of a better term, this is very blatantly the capitalist versus socialist or democratic socialist kind of setup.
And she says capitalism in the episode, right?
So that, I think, is important. I don't know that the mention of the station where that's happening is a misdirect. It, again, to go back to the Cold War, which I'm going to be doing a lot for this, that's akin to somebody saying to Gorbachev, do you know that the Russians who are saying that they're going to vacation in Poland are really hopping over the border and going into the Western countries? It's not that they don't necessarily know that that's going on, but it's an indicator of how things are going. The thing about Vance demanding that she stand trial, that was a complete mistake on his part. That could have been dealt with later. Saying that they didn't want her to be the face of it made perfect sense. In terms of the negotiations, saying we need an independent actor to be the head, and you need to step away. Okay. And then later you get to the point where, okay, things are established and it's not going to blow up in our face if we try to prosecute her. Yeah,
I think it definitely is a mistake strategically, but what else is going to get her out of the room?
Yeah, but Chrissie, I really disagree with that, because I think he needs to know right now whether, because that's, to me, like, okay, you've said all this stuff, but that's the ultimate test of the real sincerity of the thing in some ways, right? He's like, if you're willing to do that, then you are really serious about it. And if not, then we can make this agreement and talk about it later, and it can slip through, or you can escape or whatever. Like, I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was him saying, like, you made all these concessions, but here's the really hard part. And, but I mean, of course, like, what person would want to sacrifice themselves on that, right? It wouldn't be her. So it does spike things like that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing about it.
I do see where you're coming from with that. It's let's say it's politically inept at that point in time, for Vance to have done that. To my mind, I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen.
I agree, because he's not the person to make that final decision. That final decision will be made above him, right? When the president gets involved and whatnot, that's when, because he's just there as a proxy for the president right now. He can't make the final decision.
But as far as we know, I mean, we're told the president of the Federation has said, you can negotiate on my behalf. How do we not know that the president has said, like, here are the terms and the things you need to talk with Osira about, and that was one of them?
Because he doesn't know why she's there in the first place. Right? When she talks about peace, it's after that conversation.
That's a good point.
So he would have to take that above him. Like, that's not a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see it about it from like a political viewpoint, but from a moral viewpoint, I love that because it was like, you are not going to get away with this stuff. We're not going to make a deal and have you get away with it. Whether or not it works like strategically or politically, I think morally, I love that. And it made me love Vance even more for doing that. Mm-hmm. I want to add just one thing because Chrissie, you brought up Oser is kind of the face of like, capitalism and all of that. There's a super interesting discussion on the Strange New Worlds podcast. Yes, I reference it every week. It was a great podcast. But this week, Mike Wong had on historian Daesun Oka, who he's had on before, who talked about in detail how the writers are making commentaries on capitalism in this episode. And I won't go over it here, but listeners should listen to that because it's super interesting, and like how it, all of those levels, including like Oser wanting to or having Oser kind of stand for her crimes, fits all into a whole commentary. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's interesting.
Listen after you're done with this.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well let's jump on to our next topic here. The other super captivating scenes. So we have Investigator Aurelio and Stamets. Now Aurelio was played by Star Trek Discovery regular Ken Mitchell. He's been 3 Klingons previous to this, and this is the first time that we see him out of makeup. And it's really awesome that the Discovery creative team has included him because I don't know the name of it. I haven't looked it up, but he's got a degenerative muscle disease that he's got right now, which is preventing him from walking and stuff, which he had while he was acting throughout season 1 and 2, and it's been steadily getting worse. But they've been able to incorporate him in his current state with this floating wheelchair that they've got, right? Which is really fascinating that they're able to bring him in as he is and show him on the screen as an intelligent person who believes in the science that he's doing, who believes in his own mission, while he may be misguided about the person who's helped him. I believe that he is truly a good at heart kind of person, and he's been shown that way, which is really wonderful that they've brought him in for this.
Can I point out 2 things before we go further? So first, the disease he has is ALS, which is also called Lou Gehrig's disease, which is a degenerative disease. But also, you said investigator, and I didn't catch this until I looked at the subtitles. His actual title is Invigilator. Which I had to look up, or Invigilator, which I had to look up. I guess it's the equivalent of like a proctor of an exam almost, right?
Yes, I had to look it up too. And I made a note that this makes no sense yet. Okay. Yeah, because he's not proctoring. I mean, you could kind of say he's supervising. The idea is that he'll supervise Stamets, giving him all the information, but that really doesn't work.
He's giving some kind of test to Stamets and make sure he's not cheating, or I don't know. Like it's. I saw that title and I was like, what is that? And how does that fit in? I think that's interesting.
I didn't look it up, but where my brain went was just Inquisitor, and I thought, okay, well, that might be like a fancy, $5 term for torturer.
And words do change over time, so that far in the future it might mean something different, right? Mm-hmm. So
he's not. Even if it does come to be meaning something akin to that, I don't think he's capable of torturing people. But we can get into that.
Yeah, I think, and I think that and Osiris certainly even knew that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it comes from the Latin root, which means staying vigilant. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just wondered about that. But sorry, Brendan, continue. But I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Now I wanted to ask you guys a question about Oser and Aurelio as friends. So we get this backstory that at age 10, Aurelio's parents requested an audience with Oser, and she did something to, cure him, prevent him from dying, because we got the impression that he was about to die. So she did something, and then beyond saving his life, she took an interest in him because she saw potential in him and kind of nurtured him into this position that he's in. And there was a really interesting scene where they were talking to each other, and Oser confides in him with a very interesting line. I can't remember what he said to prompt it. I didn't write it down, but I wrote down her response, where she says to him, "I'm in hostile territory, about to take the gamble of my life, which is also part of the reason why I think she's lying. But for her to confide in somebody like this, there's some type of relationship here, some type of long-lasting, strong relationship here. Now, I don't necessarily think, like I've seen online people speculating that, you know, those piercings that he have, maybe he's got kids with her. I don't think that's the case, right? I think he just... I
think he does with someone that's related to Osira.
Okay, you think that like a cousin or a niece or whatever?
Or something like that. I mean, he did say it does seem to be an Orion tradition, but yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that this friendship that they had is very fascinating, and I'm just wondering what you guys thought. Do you think that this is an honest friendship? Do you think that she's just been playing the long game with this guy, knowing that he had some value at a young age, and has just been keeping him as an ace in the hole this whole time? Like, what do you think about this, Kevin?
I think it's sincere. I would imagine that, you know, even in the Terran Empire, there are people who have, you know, friendships. I think that, you know, that it felt sincere to me, especially even just the little, like, you know, shoulder hug or, you know, grip that she gave him when they parted after that conversation. I think it's a good insight to a character to know that, this is somebody who, you know, who isn't completely despotic, that values some people, you know, in a peer relationship. So I assumed it's legit.
Chrissy?
Yeah, I'm of the camp that thought they're married. So we'll see. But I do,
you know,
like
I
the
thought that at
idea
first
that he's married into the family. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I thought that at first, that like maybe he was involved with Osira herself, but then it was like parents introduced him when he was 10. I was like, that makes it less likely.
And that's what I had a note in here. How long do Orions live? Yeah, you know.
I mean, apparently a while. I mean, Osira looks pretty good for however old she is.
I mean, figure.
That was one thing that did kick me a little bit out of the conversation, was the idea of trying to figure, okay, well, if they met when she was in a position of power and influence and he was only 10 and he looks like this now and she looks like that now, I couldn't do the math.
Well, I mean, I guess then the next question is, how old was Perrin when she and Sarek married? You know, for the age.
More than 100 years younger.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying there was a child relation. I'm not saying that in either case, but how long Orions live is relevant to that.
That's possible.
The more accurate comparison is Padme and Anakin.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that they're... That. Yeah. I think that I don't think that they're a couple or together. And I also am in the camp that I think that this is a friendship and an honest relationship. Yeah. And to me, what makes that wonderful is it just adds this character to Osira, because good bad guys don't think that they're the bad guy, you know? And like to show a friendship like that adds so much depth to both of these characters. Right? Like, they're friends. And so this conversation that Aurelio is having with Stamets it's shocking to him. You know, it's really surprising to him when Stamets is revealing some of the things that they've encountered, because Aurelio's been blind to these things, or she's just done a very good job of keeping them hidden from him, which both could be the case. I mean, there's times when somebody could be doing something really bad and you're just blind to it because you're friends with them or whatever, right? You're not willing to see that aspect of them.
But here's something interesting, like, you're right, Stamets kind of opens his eyes to these kind of atrocities and these things that Stamets is telling him, particularly about, you know, threatening famine for, you know, lots of people on Quajon. But it makes me think now, like, why would Osira even kind of potentially expose him to that, right? And then I thought forward to when Vance and Osira are talking, and it sounds like what Osira is talking about when she says, well, the face of the chain will be a scientist, that she's thinking Aurelio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so maybe this is like, you need to see a little bit of what things will be like if you're going to be this leader, even if it's like in name only. But it also, I might as well put it in here, it also led me to a prediction about this, which is maybe, you know, in the end, the Federation and the Chain do reunite, and Aurelio is the leader, and he does go ahead and try Osira for her crimes because now he knows what she's doing. Maybe that's an outside possibility, but it was something that I thought about, like, But Aurelio is a really he's an interesting character, this guy who's a scientist. And also, like, when we've seen the chain, it's been like, let's bombard these people, let's use fear and intimidation. But of course, their society needs scientists, and a lot of those scientists might be honestly interested in scientific investigation and what they can do. And seeing him as that character just kind of broadened what we think about, the society of the chain. I thought that was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've said a lot there, but
yeah, I happen to, and I've brought this up on this podcast and other ones before, but I happened to be rewatching Chernobyl this last week. And for those who've seen Chernobyl, I got a lot of, let's say, the feeling of some of the scientists that are presented in that miniseries, particularly the lead guy, Valery Legasov, excuse me. And that idea of, you're in a situation, that something is wrong, but you are not in a position where if you tell the truth about it, it's going to be of any help to anyone. Okay. Because just for those who haven't seen Chernobyl, Legasov was aware of what the problem was with the reactors, vaguely aware, not realizing that it would cause that kind of destruction, but aware that there was a problem. And he chose not to say anything because the person that he found out about it from chose to say something and ended up completely out of his position and basically impoverished in his family as well. So there is that sense of, well, maybe I do know this is going on, but I'm going to consciously ignore it because if I don't, it could mean my life, and the life of his children. I think that's relevant. Yeah. Some more Cold War. I got Cold War on the brain because of Chernobyl. If you haven't seen Chernobyl, watch Chernobyl. It's so good. The other thing I want to say about Aurelio before we step away from him, and this is especially poignant right now with what's going on with COVID. I wrote down, one of the times I watched it, his experience of being cared for through his illness shows the gaps in the capitalist-run healthcare system. At the same time, the aid given to him shows its potential value. So there is this this dichotomy there of, maybe it was a capitalist-like system that came up with whatever the means were for him to survive past the age of 10, because I do get the impression he would have died had she not stepped in. But at the same time, if that was available across the board, the way we see, say, in 24th Century Trek, then it wouldn't have even been an issue. So he and his family went through a lot of anguish because of this, and it could have been fixed. But at the same time, it was because they had the right connections, and that just it struck me with what we've been hearing about what's going on with the vaccines, about how people are skipping the line. So,
yeah, no, that's a very good comparison there. We don't know where they were. Like, I didn't get the impression that maybe Aurelio's family was in a position of power because
but they knew
could be interpreted
Oser.
that way. Yeah,
but they got
to talk.
They had the right connections. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's move on to our next topic here. Die Hard, Michael Burnham's Die Hard. So that's basically what we got.
I put that on
lost
there
the boots.
because it was just too obvious. I could have said Michael Burnham's Starship Mine, but I decided not to go.
Yeah. So if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, is this a Christmas episode?
Obviously. It aired the week after Christmas.
Sounds good. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very clearly.
Okay, so let's jump in here. So this is one of the first issues that I had. So we got to talk about this frickin' transwarp tunnel here, okay? So how the hell could the Viridian get through this thing? Now, So this is how the Viridian got there in the last episode. How the heck can this thing get through there?
I mean, unless there's a tunnel between whatever destination they started at over to the Veruba Nebula that is much less clogged than the different tunnel that would be, I think, in the other, well, coming from the nebula to Federation headquarters. I think those are two different things. I think it's just
because that was a narrow corridor, Justin. Like that. So
it was pretty narrow, but I'm saying not all of them I think would necessarily be like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's,
or maybe they're aware. Maybe they're aware of some that they've kept secret from others.
Well, and remember that ship can change its shape at will. Well, the will of the pilot.
The Viridian?
Oh, the Viridian. Excuse me.
No, book ship.
I thought you were talking about book ship. My mistake.
We didn't see the Viridian go through this, right. And I know that the Viridian spore jumped from the nebula to Starfleet. But to get there, they use the transwarp conduit, and there's like garbage all in there. And this is like the impression that they've given us so far is that this is like every tunnel is like this because you got a 50% chance of surviving this thing at best, or whatever number
as
they
far
worked
as
out
book
before.
knows. Yeah. I'm just saying there might be other ones that he doesn't know of.
Sure.
Do we know?
Anyways, I don't know. It's just to me, it's kind of bonkers. This thing, like this is just I don't know. This is what we got, and I'm like, really, this is okay.
But also, those tunnels are similar to what you saw in Voyager with the Vaudoir underspace, and I think they had some pretty big ships moving through that thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's fine.
That was my first. There was a creative on the show. I think it was one of the editors or something like that. He tweeted out, he's like, "Look at how wonderful our special effects are," and I responded, I'm like, nerd question, I gotta ask, how did the Viridian get through this? He said they spore jumped, they didn't go through this. I'm like, no, before that, and then he ignored me. Yeah. He didn't answer me after that, and I'm like, okay,
that's okay,
yeah,
I got your answer.
So.
Okay, here's the thing that I'm wondering though, because we know, yes, they're low on dilithium, but the Viridian still does have some dilithium. And how far away is this nebula? When was the last time did we see them? Okay, was this set up in such a way that they were able to be on their way there in
traditional They were at Kaminar,
methods?
though. They sent Starfleet to Kaminar.
Right, but we don't know that the Viridian was at Kaminar. We only know that they had intel that said
I think they said it was there.
That they were doing maneuvers at Kaminar.
Mm-hmm. You're spending a lot of brain power trying to fix this issue, and I think there's a couple different ways
nonsense.
that it's fine.
Let's move on.
How did Mulder and Scully get out of the
Sorry,
Arctic?
Kevin. This is me. I'm sorry.
No, this is good stuff.
Okay.
This is my
If it's a story gap that knocked you out of the episode, it's worth exploring.
Okay. Yeah. While we're on the down note, I'm going to go to my one eye roll. Then we can get onto the good stuff, okay? Yes. Michael Burnham calls her mom. Okay, so really, are we really going to have another season finale where the cavalry runs in again? Come on, really? No.
Maybe. But you know what? I know you didn't like that, but I loved it.
I swear that I saw my own brain. I rolled my eyes so hard when that happened. Like, I don't know. Like, she's in the middle of a crisis situation, and she's trying to get information to Starfleet, and she calls her mom.
Because that could be a helpful connection.
She didn't ask for help.
See how they use
she didn't ask for help. She called to say goodbye. But we know that Michael Burnham's mom is going to come to the rescue next week, along with the Vulcans.
No, I saw it like a distress call.
Yeah. Anyways, fine. Okay, so it is a distress call, but her mom is still coming to the rescue, and I don't know. That's a drum that's been banged too many times in this new Trek, I think. So, but that's just
I think it was the one phone number she could remember.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe it's a misdirect. Maybe they won't show up, and we expect that they will.
I would love to see that happen. I would too. So because that'd
be interesting. Or they show up afterwards, like after everything's done,
along with Riker, along with Book's brother. You know, Book's brother's coming to the rescue next week as well. Okay, like all these people are coming to the rescue now. So, anyways, let's move on. Shut up,
and
Brandon.
the Trill, and
including Aurelio.
Yeah. It's okay. No, it's fine.
So, okay.
I'm waiting for the cat to turn into Terry Garr.
Yeah, I mean, all we got to see with Grudge this week is just like a hollow of Grudge. Are you secure about it? Yeah, everything's fine. Okay. But yeah, I am waiting for that too, that Grudge is more than
I don't think she is.
Next week, maybe.
I think they just realized that people liked
maybe she's just a cute cat, but they made a big deal out of her.
Kevin, what'd you think of the action sequence of Burnham going on her own here?
Oh, it was fun. I mean, I like that she. I guess she used the pinch on Stamets, but
people have seemed to have a problem with that online, and I don't have an issue with that. She did it to Georgiou in the pilot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she was raised on Vulcan.
Well.
I don't understand why people have a problem with it,
totally
but people
fine.
seem to have a problem with that online.
The issue that
I can't imagine a Star Trek fan getting upset about something.
The issue that I've seen, and I don't remember where it was cited, but somewhere along the line it was said that the nerve pinch is not just a physical thing, but there's like a psychic or touch telepath.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
so then they're saying can't do that. But
well, she's mind melded with Sarek before we saw her in Vulcan Hello. So
and on Spaceballs, it was just was just touch. Yeah, he says he does it. And he's like no higher, and then he just does it and he falls down. Right. So Spaceballs is canon.
Yes.
On that point, I'm going to defer to my pal and Star Trek expert Larry Nemechek, who had tweeted that he said in the last 25 years. That it is more assumed that it is a manipulative technique and not connected to the touch telepathy.
Right. Which is what it was
Picard
in the first place. Well,
after Picard did it after he mind melded with Sarek,
and Data did it.
But Burnham has mind melded with Sarek when she was a
and
kid,
she also was trained
which raises the question: if you ever get caught in a Vulcan mind meld, what's the first thing you're gonna do now that you have these skills before they evaporate?
The Vulcan death grip.
Vulcan death grip.
The mind meld through the rock.
I think it will depend on how often I'd had sex in the last 7 years.
Let's leave that alone.
This is why you invite me on.
Yes.
That's why Brandon invites you. No. So Brandon, I don't know how much more we're going to talk about Burnham, but are we going to talk about Burnham and Stamets, those scenes?
Yes, we'll get to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah, but the action sequence was fine. It did. I can't imagine anybody, unless you're completely unfamiliar with Die Hard, that it didn't get into that kind of wink at the screen. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do a little Die Hard tip of the hat.
I have to admit, I didn't quite pick up on it because it's been so long since I've seen it.
So, and I have a confession. I have actually never seen Die Hard, but even I knew what they were doing when they made this episode here. So, because Die Hard has just permeated the culture so much. I know. I've never seen it. I know. I'm a bad person. I know.
No, I'm just astonished.
But
sorry.
I look forward. I wish that I had not seen it and could enjoy it again for the first time.
I'm astonished that there's a movie I've seen that you haven't.
Yeah, I did pick up the Blu-ray set. It had all 5 of them for only $25 Canadian at Walmart. That's like $5 American. It was a good deal.
Not quite that
Brandon,
fun.
your homework assignment is to watch Die Hard before next week.
Excellent. Your homework assignment is to watch 3 Cronenberg films for next week.
Your homework assignment is excused.
The Brood, Videodrome, or Video... what is
Videodrome? Yep. Long live the new flesh, baby.
Dead Ringers.
Okay, I withdraw.
Okay, so let's jump into Tilly and Stamets. Holy smokes.
Burnham and Stamets?
Thank you, Burnham and Stamets. Holy smokes.
Yes.
What a powerhouse performance by Stamets this week.
Absolutely, yeah. That it was. I mean, because I think a lot of times the Stamets character, Anthony Rapp, plays it as a bit understated, but like you could really feel it. Like my whole life is in that nebula. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing? We need to jump there now. And Burnham has to make the really, really, really hard decision of like, I know, but if they get a hold of you, then it's going to be much, much worse for the whole galaxy. So I have to do this, and it kind of goes back in an interesting way to earlier in the season when Vance is like, are you going to make the hard decision? She was talking about Georgiou at the time, and but this is the hard decision, I think, the kind of hard decision Vance was talking about, where it's like you're feeling like I really want to do something for my my friend here, but the needs of the many outweigh this. It was wow. Yeah, those scenes were amazing, actually. Yeah. So and the energy containment field was cool too.
Yeah, that was very cool. I mean, that was just like out of Galaxy Quest almost.
Yeah.
Fling. Also canon.
The thing that this will be me being the whiner. I don't want Hugh to become Aunt May, where every time we want to compromise Spider-Man, we put Aunt May in danger. Hugh is a capable officer, and great at what he does, and finding his sea legs in this new world, and I just don't want. That's the thing I don't want.
I could totally see that, but actually one of the things that totally floored me and took me by surprise was Stamets saying, we came to this future. We left everything behind to follow you, so you wouldn't be alone in this century. And I was like, oh my good, he is completely right. I didn't expect him to say that, but he's feeling in that moment like, we made this sacrifice, and how can you make me sacrifice more? Like, how dare you do that? And I was like, I mean, that was really powerful and unexpected. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah.
Chrissy?
So yeah. it was really something.
I don't think he was going to die just because, well, and we know that...
I don't think they would do that after the outcry of the first time.
We know that Adira's involved in season 4.
I just want to tell Stamets, like, okay, you're in a show. It's going to be fine. They're not going to kill him off. It's going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. So that did take a little bit of the concern out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not concerned, but he is clearly
and it was beautifully acted. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, I'm very excited to see. Honestly, like, part of me, like, as far as writing goes, I would like to see this take an extremely long time for Stamets to get over, because back in season 1, he was over Ash Tyler pretty quick. Like, it didn't really go anywhere, and it was really underwhelming. Like, so I want to see this take a long time for him to recover from.
Stamets is the O'Brien of Discovery. Like, Stamets must suffer. The guy has been through so much in these 3 seasons, like people taking him over and like his partner dying, like all this stuff. And like it at least so far, it has felt like he's gotten over it relatively quickly, like O'Brien did when it was episodic Deep Space Nine. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll take some time to kind of work through that. I guess we'll see. But this is traumatic.
I think it should. I mean, this is a personal. He's taking this as a personal betrayal.
Yeah.
And what I wished he'd said just before, though, was, you can't eject me. I'm the warp core. It just didn't work. But I do hope that. It seems like that in Star Trek that it takes a long time. They'll slow burn a romantic relationship, but they will speed past real emotional hurts and betrayals and things. And I just assumed that he couldn't trust Michael through a chunk of season 4. Or unless Hugh talks him off the ledge and say, why were you worried? You think I didn't have this under control? But I do think that that was a gut punch.
Yeah, it was some really great stuff there. Chrissy, did you have anything to add to that?
I think the one thing that I was thinking of in this scene was that this is a bit indicative of the fact that he didn't have the Starfleet training. Hughes had the Starfleet training. Michael's she had Vulcan Science Academy training, but she's been an officer on the command track, so she has some of that, the aspect of the Kobayashi Maru, whereas Stamets is brought in kicking and screaming from academia and stuck in a uniform, and so he doesn't, he hasn't been trained to think that way, and so he doesn't necessarily recognize the situation where that is appropriate.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think as far as we know, he's only really been in Starfleet for probably 4 or 5 years or something, right? Yeah.
Plus the 930.
Yes, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count. Otherwise, everyone on Discovery should be like, the commander-in-chief of Starfleet with all that experience.
Every once in a while, he reminds me of Alan Alda's character on MASH. Franklin Pierce, right? Hawkeye. Excuse me. Yeah. In that whole of like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm only here because I have skills that they need, and I'm offended by the whole thing, and that's it. And he doesn't make a joke out of it the way Hawkeye does, but I get that feeling with him sometimes.
Yeah, that's a neat.
It's an interesting connection. Although, and I think in MASH there was a bunch of people there. All the doctors were like, we don't really want to be here, but and there are people on Discovery that do want to be there, and Starfleet is their thing. But it's a good connection.
Well, let's move on to our last topic here. So Captain Tilly and the bridge crew and what's going on there. And I got to say that my favorite aspect of this part of the plot was the fact that everybody's calling out that Tilly doesn't look like the right person for the job. Like the jabs that they're doing at her, I think, are appropriate for the characters and appropriate for the situation. As I've said in the last few weeks, especially last week, I'm loving Tilly. I'm loving the growth that she's had. And this is really good stuff. But it's very true what's going on for these people. Like the line that the one guy said, I can't remember his name, where he's like, it took us 12 minutes to take over your ship. I'm sure somebody with way less ability, it would have only taken 10.
Oh, that's Zara that's saying
Zara,
that, right?
What a wonderful line.
That's great.
Right? And even Oser in her meeting with Vance is like, at first I thought it was a trap, but then I realized it was just an ensign in charge. Right? Because it was so easy. Like, it's just, it's good that they're calling this out, her inexperience. She's going to get there, but they're calling out this stuff that, yes, she's not quite experienced yet, right? And she's probably making mistakes that wouldn't have been made by somebody with more experience. And
I don't know about that. I think she's doing about as well as could be expected of anyone.
I think that
actually. And it's people in the chain who are her enemies that are calling this out. So yes, she's inexperienced, but I think she's actually doing a great job. But there is a scene in there with the bridge crew where it seems like, I think Book and Rin it's actually Book and Rin who aren't even part of Starfleet, who are just moving forward. And she's like, hold on, I have a plan. Let's, remember who's leading here. So yeah, it is interesting.
But no, what she said there was out of a corner of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Lack of self-confidence, because she thought they were abandoning her. Right, when she said that,
they really were.
And they're not. They're like, no, we're here to protect you, and because they're going to come here and fight us, and if they find us empty, right? So they trusted her to go on, right? But she still has that lack of confidence, right? Yeah. And I think that's been built really well into all of this. I think it's really great.
Okay. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and I just have to say with this whole thing, it is wonderful to see so much of the bridge crew involved. Like you saw a place there for Bryce and Reese with their tapping, and Owo with their fighting, and Detmer. Like there was, they were getting things for so many people to do, and it was just wonderful. And like I think when there was the preview, I was like, oh, here's another thing just taking over the ship. But they did it in such a way that I think it was really interesting and not necessarily the kind of thing that you always see in Star Trek. So, and I like that. The taking over the ship is going to take some time. It's not like, all right, we did it right away. I mean, they're only partway there. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
That scene with Zara and Tilly was a familiar place for pretty much any woman who's been in a position of authority. Okay. And had men who were questioning her, and other women too. And I'm not going to say that men have not had this experience, but speaking from my own experience, okay, I have had people question whether I was qualified, whether I should be doing what I'm doing. From people who, not my enemies, not, well, maybe they were, but not like Zara and Tilly, but just from a standpoint of people who don't even know me. I've had people, adjuncts have shared offices a lot. And I've had people just start talking to me. There was a man in particular who just starts talking to me, and it was, hi, who are you? Usual introductions you run into in an office. And then I say what I'm doing, and then he starts quizzing me on American history. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't know and he's a lawyer. He's teaching pre-law stuff. So it's like he was quizzing me on stuff that wasn't even relevant to what I was doing, and it was very uncomfortable, and I ended up kind of just stumbling my way through it and having to walk away and just like, what just happened, as if that was his authority and he was another adjunct too, so it wasn't like he was a department head or something. But I just that scene with Tilly just really brought that in for me, memories of circumstances like that for myself, and I love how she handled it. Just you're not even worth bothering with.
Kevin, did you have anything to say about Tilly?
No, I was just picking up what Chrissie was saying, that I liked that we can understand her as a viewer having her blips of lack of self-confidence, but when we see her project the strength against the pokes that her adversaries were taking at her. It's heartening. I mean, I like that part.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, excellent. Chrissie, you were going to say something there?
I was just going to say we now know what Reese was doing the whole time, like we asked last week.
Yes. Awesome.
Wait, what did we ask about last week for Reese?
You mean
Noah. You mean Rin?
What was?
Oh, Rin.
Forgive. Yeah. I'm sorry, Rin. Rin.
Yes, I just want to say, like, moment of silence for Rin. Yeah. I was very distraught that he got killed. I don't know. We had Noah on last week who played Rin. So if we have someone on who's playing a character on a current series, do they die the next week every time? It's the first time it's happened, but yeah.
But he had a good poker face last week.
3 times turned into a
Yeah, he did have a good poker face. He didn't let us know anything that was happening. But yeah, so we found out more about Rin. That was sad. And after Book gave away that there was dilithium in the nebula, got killed anyway.
Yeah. I predicted the final confrontation between them. I just didn't expect that winner to be the winner. So.
Yeah, you predicted Rin would kill Osira, but oops, that didn't happen.
I'm really
unfortunately
appreciating that our expectations like that are being not fulfilled, and that sometimes the ones who you think, they're the good guys, they don't win, and I
think it's been difficult to guess a lot of this stuff this season.
Yeah. Oh, some of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so it's the last thing I'm going to talk about here. So I'm on record many times for saying that I did not like the build up to Ariam's death. I think it was an unearned climax for that episode. I know Justin disagrees with me, but let's talk about Zora and the dots here. And I got to say, this is build up done right. Okay, this is build up done right, because they have sprinkled this throughout the season to ensure that we don't forget about it. And even in this episode, they sprinkled it at the beginning with the video. And I loved the shot of the camera zooming in, and basically Buster Keaton was watching the bridge. Was wonderful. And so this is very earned. This was a very earned champion moment at the end of the episode when the sphere data came out in these dots.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes back to when we first encountered the sphere data, which was relatively early in season 2. It goes back to a connection to Calypso, which is before then. So, yeah, there's been like quite the build-up, and it was wonderful. Like at the end, when it seemed like somebody was coming down the hallway and the bridge crew's like, what's going on? When those DOT, well, now 23s, walked down and they were just like, we're here to help, and they gave the same like 3-fingered Vulcan salute that you saw in a frame and dot. Amazing. I loved it. Like, so much, and I didn't expect that to come in at the end, and I agree, it was pretty wonderful.
Kevin?
I was also happy with it. I did not expect it. I'm eager to see what next week is going to bring, and
I mean, it also tells us why those DOTs were so prominent in the opening credits, right?
I knew that was coming back. I knew they were going to be big.
You're right.
I didn't know how.
I had read somewhere over the weekend that this is not the first time that Discovery has placed an object in the opening credits that we think, this is, it's just something else to look at while we're watching names go by.
Yeah, the previous example is that time crystals have been in the opening credits since the first episode of Discovery, and you didn't really see time crystals actually manifest until like toward the middle of season 2. I think that may be with the other ones.
And I don't know season 1 that well. I could buy them putting them in season 2, but I don't remember the main credits from season 1. But if they were
the main credits for season 1.
Okay, if they were, then there is absolutely no way that they intended those things to be time crystals in season 1. That is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense that they had that planned.
How far ahead they planned.
I assume they were dilithium the whole time. So.
Yeah, and then they're like, But that's my pessimism.
But anyway, I think they did it really well, and the like having Zora manifest in these DOT 23s is great as well, because like even in Calypso it was like a voice coming out and there's a hologram, and like, but this is like a physical manifestation that can go around with you, which is cool.
Yeah.
So. Did you guys notice?
No, that was wonderful.
Did you notice the color coding?
Yeah.
The one that approached them
I think
had the red, and then there was one on the side that had yellow, and then the one behind was blue around the eyes.
Nice. I did not notice that. I did not
notice. And what was that around the eyes? Yeah. I didn't notice until I read about that, but that was really cool. Nice. So, Starfleet Division's coming to the rescue. Although, have we really seen those division colors in the 32nd century uniforms in any way?
I don't think so.
I don't know if we have.
Not really. It's been pretty gray.
But for people who know it's there, and for people who don't, it's like, okay, they have different color eyes.
It's their underpants. They just
different. Yeah.
Well, on these here, is there any other topics before we get into our canon connections? Is there anything on the episode that we missed discussing that you guys would like to talk about?
I want to mention one thing. It's maybe not of too much bearing, but the episode title, There Is a Tide, it comes from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Act 4, Scene 3. Brutus is explaining to Cassius that, quote, there is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. So I thought that was just, an interesting little origin, maybe telling us that, things will get better soon.
Depends on who you are.
Did they release the title for the season finale?
Season finale.
That Hope Is You
Part 2.
Yep.
Finally.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So it's going to be the longest.
It would be like there is a tide, and then the ellipsis would just pod, and I ate it.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's going to be the longest gap between a Part 1 and Part 2 in Star Trek history.
But not between a Part 2 and a Part 3.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's
right. But not between Part 2 and Part 3.
I just want to do two quick historical connections.
Chrissy's History Corner.
Oser reminds me of the English privateers in the colonial era. And they were given what were called letters of marque by the English, the British government, that allowed them to function as pirates as long as they were attacking enemies of the British Empire. So they were pirates if they were attacking, say, Spanish ships. Okay. But then they went back and gave what they collected to the British government, minus a small fee.
But it's such a crazy thing that people don't realize. There was state-sanctioned piracy in those times. Like, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that this reminds me of, because I was trying to figure out how the Federation falls into a relationship with the Emerald Chain. And what it finally came down to, having watched, the second time I watched the Vance and Osiris conversation, is that the Federation, who is less powerful functionally, doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the quote-unquote money, okay, is very much akin to the Holy Roman Empire. And Charlemagne gets up and he says, I'm the Roman Empire. I'm just going to call it holy because we're Christians now and all of that. But I'm really the extension of the Roman Empire. Meanwhile, in the East, you have what is actually the remnants of the Roman Empire in the Byzantine Empire. And they have all the resources and all the money that they could want. That led me to believe, or led me to think about, are we dealing with a situation where we're going to find out that the chain is a lot of Federation powers that have come together because it was more functional, it was more advantageous for them to work with the chain than to stay with the Federation.
Sure.
So
I think that's quite possible, and it's really interesting the way that Oser was talking about, like, if we unite, there will be a chain of planets and a federation of mercantile exchanges. Like, but yeah, I wonder if a lot of that is former Federation territory, which would make it easier to reunite.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Andorians involved, we know that. You know,
the Andorians. Yeah, they're right. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I want to go for my favorite canon connection first.
Sure.
And I don't know if you guys could guess it or not, but my favorite canon connection is Osira's right-hand gal at the beginning there, being the same alien race as from Children of Mars, which is still one of my top episodes of Star Trek.
Yes.
So whatever alien species that was, I can't remember the name of it because I'm older and not quite into it as I used to be for memorizing all that stuff. But
I don't think
I don't know what the name. Yeah, I don't know if we. I don't think we get a name of the species because Children of Mars, there isn't really dialogue per se. But yeah, it was Kima was the name of the character in Children of Mars.
if we don't have it, we also don't know Yoda's race, so we'll just call this the Grogu species.
Grogu species.
Nice.
Yes. This is the Grogu species.
But yes, I love that too. That was so unexpected that they would reuse that alien. It was cool.
Justin, take it away.
Yeah, I have some canon connections. So I guess in retaking the ship, it's got something that happens in a lot of places in Star Trek, like in Basics, Chosen Realm, Shockwave, Rascals even.
Yeah.
It's frequent that it happens. One of the things that I think TrekCore had noticed, which is really interesting, is the 32nd century Starfleet phasers have blue energy beams. And there's a couple of exceptions in TOS and the original series films, but the vast majority of times we see hand phasers for Starfleet, they're red-orange beams, so something a little different. One of the destroyed ships that they call out is a Wanderer-class vessel, which actually has its origin in the 1980s FASA role-playing game for the Orion Wanderer-class vessel, and it was also seen on some graphics in TNG, so real deep cut there. Let's see what else. So Book says that Osira had used some similar trick to destroy the presidential palace on Benthos 4, and Benthos is a system that gets its origin is from the Voyager episode Vis-a-Vis. The ship that was closest to the Discovery is the USS Song, and it's Eisenberg class apparently, of course in honor of Aaron Eisenberg, which the USS Nog is part of. I want to call out, this is only the second episode in all of Discovery that does not have Saru. The first was the season opener, That Hope Is You, Part 1. So,
oh, wow.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, Saru has been in everything except those two episodes. Of course, Burnham has been in everything.
Well, if there's one more episode that he's not in, then he will tie DeForest Kelley for not being in 3 episodes.
That's true. He wasn't in 3. Yeah.
I don't know if I would know the 3 off the top of my head.
What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Okay.
Errand of Mercy.
Yeah.
Where No
Man Has Gone Before.
No Man Has Gone
Before.
Before.
Oh, well, yeah, Where No Man. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's just those 3.
Cool.
So we're not counting the cage then.
Yeah.
Not counting the cage.
Not counting the cage.
Who counts the cage? Like, what is... Come on.
Oh.
We totally count it.
Roddenberry wanted him in for the cage, so it's,
Okay, so just a couple more here. So something that was interesting, I don't know if we knew this, maybe we kind of did, but so on the Ready Room with Will Wheaton, there was an interview with Mario Moreira, who's the prop master for Discovery, and they were showing the black box props, and I think one of them was Cardassian, and he makes a mention, it was a Federation membership at that point. I think we've seen a Cardassian like captain in one of the early seasons, but we don't know whether they're part of the Federation or not. Just an interesting thing that was referenced. So Vance references an Altarian spider. There's lots of Altair references in Star Trek. Surprised we didn't mention this, but the Book ship crashing into the shuttle bay is kind of like Emergency Landing Plan B in Star Trek 5.
B for barricades.
I guess the Discovery just flies around with that open all the time, I guess.
That is driving me
It does, in case
nuts.
you need it. There's been one, I think there's been like one episode where it's closed.
Yeah, clearly not a security concern at all, because nobody ever goes through there. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so one more thing, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many, including episodes and movies, how many productions of Star Trek has Jonathan Frakes, who directed this episode, now directed, do you think?
No clue.
Directed?
20.
I was going to say 20.
So,
What do you
you
think,
mean
Kevin?
like individual episodes and...
Plus movies, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 20 sounds good to me.
Okay. It is now 24, which is really impressive. 8 TNG, of course, 2 TNG movies, 3 DS9, 3 Voyager, 2 Picard, and 6 of Discovery, which is incredible. So that is. Oh, I do have one question. So they mentioned the president of the Federation. Who do we think that is? Is it somebody we might know somehow?
No, I don't think so.
TrekCore had an idea of who it might be.
Who'd they think?
They thought it would be the backup EMH from Living Witness, which might be around at this point, because I think that episode takes place in the 31st century.
It's
or
700
like
years.
I think it's Phlox. It's got to be Phlox.
Yeah,
Phlox. He's
that.
like 1,000 years old.
I think it's the head of B4.
I love it. There you go. Yeah.
well, I mean,
That's perfect.
Could be the guy at the outpost. I don't know.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be crazy if they were like, you know what? with the novel continuity. They're going off in a different direction. Let's just like take a character and just stick him in the 32nd century. Let's have like Federation President Nanbaku in the 32nd century, because why not? That was my other thought, but probably won't happen.
Or wouldn't it be great if at the end, I mean, it's, and the chair, and they walk in and they spin it around and it's Harry Mudd. That would be.
I thought you were going to say Harry Kim. For a moment.
That's what I thought too.
He is president of the Federation and still an ensign.
Ensign president.
Well, those just blew up my guess. I was going to say it's probably Armus. What if Armus found out?
Armus.
Well, if the apples are made out of shit, I guess
It's the female changeling.
You prompted a thought in me with that, though.
Sorry. Yeah.
Might it be possible, and this is really going dark, but might it be possible that Vance is what's left of the government?
There is no president?
Maybe there is no Federation Council. There's nothing.
Oh, wow.
And he's holding it together by a string.
That would
that'd be
crazy.
Actually really cool.
That just popped in my head. I'm like, what if there isn't one?
The president, who doesn't exist, has told me I can negotiate.
Well, you gotta maintain that facade.
Goes behind the curtain, presses some buttons, and this giant head shows up, and it'd be great. No, I think that's a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's happening, but it could be.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate having you on. And before you go, I did want to tell you, holy smokes, do I love the tree topper and the matching ornaments this year from Hallmark. What a cool thing. I am so looking forward to the next 4. We got 2 more coming next year and 2 more the year after that, right?
That's correct. And, 2 more coming this year.
3 days in.
No, since it's 2021. Yeah, by the way, everyone, Happy New Year. We didn't even say that at the beginning.
Happy New Year.
Forgot about that.
We'll have 2 more. Now, what I don't know is whether the 2 will be in stores at the same time in July, or whether 1 will be out in July and 1 will be out in October. Okay. But I do believe, if anybody follows our Pop Minded on Instagram, Hallmark Pop Minded, I think it's just at Pop Minded. I think that not this calendar week of the 4th, but the week of the 11th, that we are planning some sneak peeks, because normally in a convention setting, we, in 2020, we would have probably had these on display in July at San Diego Comic-Con, and everyone would know. But once we announce who's coming out for 21, then you'll know who's going to come out. Pardon me, for 22. Mm-hmm. But I think I may be able to talk about it by the end of next week.
Awesome. Make sure you tag me in that when you tweet it out. When you tweet out the information.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'll get you there.
Excellent. I'm stoked because my good friend in California there mailed me up a couple of Voyager ornaments that I didn't have. He sent me a 7 and 9 and the Voyager ship. So I got those on my tree this year. Some of the older ornaments. So.
Oh, nice.
The Voyager ornament is canon.
Yes,
that's true.
And that's right. Part of the, I think there's several ornaments that are canon because they were part of the crib.
Oh, that's right. That's true as well. But
what do you call that? Carousel? No, that's not right.
Mobile?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Good God, it's been see, I'm a grandpa, so I'm not. It's been a while. So had to worry about that. But I know that this is fair game to say there are people who had thought that because we didn't have a ship on the wall in 2020 that we were going to stop making ship ornaments. That is not true. There is a ship ornament that is planned for 2021, and that we just really thought that given the expense of the Enterprise tree topper and the 3 ornaments in the Storyteller set, that we were asking quite a bit already.
It was worth it now that I got it, but that was a hefty price tag for sure. But
it absolutely is, and I totally understand that. But for anybody who's listening, feeling like you missed out because these ornaments did not go on sale at Hallmark's at the end of the season, it's because they're all going to be offered again in stores this year and in 2022.
Oh, nice. So they're not just limited editions. That's good. That's good.
No, they're not. We don't want it. We don't want anybody to feel like they got left out. If you walked into a store on, December 24th, 2022, and the ornaments were available, you could get all 7 plus the tree topper.
Oh, nice, wow. Nice. Excellent. Awesome. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. Where can people find you online? And beyond the Christmas ornaments and what you've said there, is there anything else you're working on that you want to mention?
Well, not that I can think of. My writing partner Dayton Ward and I have a story that we wrote together that is not Star Trek in a pulp fiction anthology called Thrilling Adventure Yarns Volume 2 that was available through a Kickstarter. I'm assuming there's going to be other copies available out there somewhere once the Kickstarter comes out, but I think that will be starting to mail to people in February or March, and that was a lot of fun. It's always fun to work with Dayton, so it's nice to do that again. Other than that, just I'm on Facebook as Kevin Dilmore. I'm on Twitter as Kevin Dilmore. Anybody's welcome to jump on board for those.
Excellent. Justin, where can people find you when you're not trying to hide your lies from me?
I'm going to say that is not the truth. I'm not hiding any lies from you. I may be hiding some truths from you. No, let's not go there. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. And you can find me in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers, where we talk about this and other episodes of the United Federation of Podcasts.
Excellent. Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not eating shit apples?
All right. Well, when I'm not doing that, you can you can talk to me. You can talk to me in the threads for our episodes in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter at the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, and there I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. And you can also follow my work in history by looking at the webpage my fellow historian partner Jason and I run, and that is History with the Szilagys, which is at historywiththeszilagys.org, and also under a Facebook page with the same name, and that's SZILAGYIS.
Excellent. And when I'm not running around the ship in bare feet, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella. You can find me here on the network with a show called Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels. And we are just wrapping up our series on The Thing. And then we'll be going into Oceans. We're going to be doing the Oceans movies. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, cool.
And then you can find me as well over on the Fandom Podcast Network with Good Evening and Alfred Hitchcock Podcast. We cover Hitch's films once a month. And last, starting up this week, is our House of Nolan podcast over on the Nerd Party Network, where we cover Christopher Nolan's films. And this week's episode is his first film, Following. And that's definitely coming out this week for sure. Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFP Earth, or our show, which is specifically at IDIC Podcast. And you can also talk about any of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. On the next episode, we'll be wrapping up Season 3, discussing That Hope Is You, Part 2. Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.